Yo, what's going on, man? Today is January the 18th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show, early bird edition. I'm actually about to start doing a few either late night shows or some early morning shows, just to kind of get ahead of the number, especially on days like today when we have like such a smaller slate. So yeah, if you guys like the early morning shows, definitely do me a favor, hit the like button for me if you can, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and turn the notification bell on as well. Quick recap of yesterday. We went under on the Houston Rockets team total under 108.5. That was a pretty easy winner. Rockets at the end of that road trip really just kind of ran out of gas, and the Knicks played extremely slow, and they play again. So we're going to talk about them again here in a few minutes. And this won't be a long show. I also had a two-leg money line parlay with the Miami Heat and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves was pretty easy. The Miami Heat never showed up in that game. They could have just stayed in Brooklyn or flew back to Miami after that overtime game the other day because they never showed up yesterday, which was pretty interesting, being that Toronto was without Pascal Siakam for the first time, and Toronto Raptors also play. So we'll get into them in a couple minutes as well. And then the other play was what else did we play? We had a live play, which was the over between the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. That was a easy winner, third quarter over 58.5. Pretty easy winner there. And then we had one more play. I forgot what the other play was. We did have another play. What was it? It was it was Cleveland. Gave it out on the channel. Hopefully everybody that was watching when Giannis got ruled out was able to get that plus 3.5 money line, plus 2.5, plus 1.5, minus 1.5. Game was never even close. So we had a couple winners yesterday. Pretty good day yesterday, especially with the live bet as well. Real quick, want to shout out to the sponsor, OzJam. People are hitting me up in the DMs asking me about the code. So the code is CBC. If you use the link in the description, you guys can get 25% off your first month with the code CBC over on OzJam. I tell you guys all the time, I'm looking at it, and it helped us make money yesterday, right? You just look at the sportsbook screen page is what I use it for, but it's a bunch of great tools over there. So decide whatever it is that you like. I would definitely recommend giving them a shot. By far, my favorite betting tool that I use is OzJam, just so I can beat the line. You definitely want to get some CLV and make sure you're paying the least amount for the same exact thing that you're gonna get somewhere else. So definitely shop around. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you can, and let's jump into it for the games. This will be a quicker show. I'm still doing the show at 5 p.m. as well, as I always do, but wanted to kind of give you guys some early looks. So let's jump right into it. First game up, we got Chicago. They will be in Toronto tonight, taking on this Toronto Raptors team, which they actually looked really good yesterday. I think looking at the numbers, it did open at 2 in favor of Chicago, 2.5 for Chicago. And not really a lot of movement there. Still mostly 2.5. Some twos out there as well. The total did go up from 223.5 up to 227. And that's what I would agree with here in this spot. I mean, you look at it. The Bulls recently got Zach LaVine back, and I was looking at this game last night. They got Zach LaVine back. Vucevic been back for a couple games as well. And you've seen the defense start to slide. That was the biggest thing that I kind of looked at. The Bulls are not the same defensive team with Zach LaVine on the floor. I actually looked into it a little deeper. With Zach LaVine on the floor, defensive rating is a 117. That's one of the worst defensive ratings in the NBA. And we know Chicago doesn't play with a lot of pace, although Billy Donovan does want this team to play faster. He said that for probably like the last 3 or 4 months now. I'm sorry, not last 3 or 4 months, probably like the last 2 months now. And they have been playing a lot faster. So with Zach LaVine on the floor, 117. With Zach LaVine off the floor, defensive rating gets better, 114. Both of these teams are allowing more than 119 points per game in the last 5. We know Toronto is still going to be without Jakob Poeltl in this spot. So although this total has come up to 227.5 in some spots, I think we go over that. I definitely think we go over. We look at Toronto. We know they're playing with a lot more pace with RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Gary Trent Jr. They're actually trying to get out and run and transition as much as possible so they don't have to play, against a half-court offense. So I like the over in this game. Have I played it yet? No. Did I write it down last night? Yes. Should I have probably pulled the trigger already? Absolutely. Just don't trust the Bulls' defense with Zach LaVine being back. The Bulls are playing with pace. So I like this one to go up and over. Didn't really look into it. Haven't really played it yet either, but that would be my top look in this game. From a player prop perspective, and I haven't done too much deep diving, just kind of giving you guys some initial thoughts. In this game specifically, I think you got to look at Vucevic on his rebounds. Potential points and rebounds. Like I said, no Jakob Poeltl. The defensive rating for Toronto has been pretty bad outside of that game against Miami. They played, Boston pretty close the other day as well. But that was more so them not being able to make a shot and, kind of using their defense in the spot. I just don't think that they're going to be able to match up with somebody like Vucevic. They have the young guy, what is his name? Like Jonte Porter, I think. I want to say he's a rookie. And I don't think that he's going to be able to slow down somebody like Vucevic. So I would look towards Vucevic on his rebounds to go over, and I would definitely be taking the over on this game. Don't be surprised if this one closes about 228, 229, maybe even a little higher than that. The Bulls don't play fast, but they could be in a shootout here with Toronto. Toronto on the second leg of a back-to-back, so their defense should be even worse than it was yesterday as well. So those are my thoughts on this first game. Let's go to the next game up. We got the Washington Wizards. They will be in the Mecca tonight, taking on the New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. This line is crazy because when I was looking at it last night after the Knicks game, this line was 8.5 at the sports books that put the line out early, right? Like DraftKings, FanDuel. They actually had this line at 8.5. Now it's all the way up to 12. Total did go down. 237 is what it opened at. You see it come down to about 235. Definitely agree with the line movement there. And if I had one top play I would give you guys today, it would definitely be the Washington Wizards team total under. It's something that we cashed on yesterday with this Knicks team. And something that, the Wizards, their offense has started to regress just a tad bit as well. I went through and looked at this. So first of all, the Wizards are absolutely terrible on the road straight up. They're 4-18 straight up on the road. But they have been covering spreads, 12-8-2 against the number on the road. The Knicks have been really, really good at home, especially against these weak opponents. 9-6-1 against the spread, 11-5 straight up at home. This is a standalone game for the Washington Wizards as well. After they lost to the Detroit Pistons on MLK Day by 8 points, they're 0-2 straight up and against the spread against the Knicks this season. Both games going under the total. They've only averaged 102 points per game in both of those spots, and both of those games were in DC as well. So first game in the Mecca. Look at the Knicks. This is their third straight home game, second leg of a back-to-back, and only the second game back for Jalen Brunson after he missed 2 games. They do host Toronto for the first time since the trade on Saturday, but I think they got enough time to kind of get right before that game. They went under 3 straight games and 9 of their last 10, and they've held 3 straight opponents under 100 points per game as well. In the 4 games with OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson being on the floor, this team is 4-0 straight up and against the spread and 4-0 to the under, averaging 113 points per game and allowing just 96.7 in those 4 contests. So I like this team total to go under for the Washington Wizards. Looking at the Knicks, it's a little bit more deep diving. They're 3-5 straight up and against the spread on the second leg of back-to-backs. But all of those games didn't come with OG Anunoby being a part of this lineup. 2-1 straight up and against the spread as a favorite when they're unrested. 7-1 straight up and 6-2 against the spread versus the team with the winning record as a home favorite. Without a winning record as a home favorite. So typically they take care of these lesser competition type teams. They're winning those games by average of 14 points. So I'm not sure where these lines go close. I'm not getting involved with spreads for the Knicks, but they have looked really, really good recently. And I could definitely see them continuing to, keep that going here. And the big reason is I look at the last 5 game stats. Washington's bottom 10 in rebounding, and the Knicks are top 10 in rebounding. The Knicks are also top 5 in defending the 3. Washington kind of middle of the pack. Washington also 16th defensive rated team, where the Knicks are the 2nd defensive rated team behind the Cleveland Cavaliers over the last 5 games. So give me in this game, this is the one play that I did make, and I'll give it to you guys now. Give me the Knicks to hold the Washington Wizards under their team total. I think I got the number last night at 112.5 and gave that out to the members. Let's keep going. We got Jazz at the crib. They are 3-point home dogs in this game. And I got some notes. I don't think I put them on my computer. I do have them on my phone. So the 3.5 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder is what they're laying as road favorites in this game. Total come down from, I saw it at 247. This is what I capped it at 247 last night. It looks like from the odds screen that I'm looking at, it looks like it opened at 245.5, and it's come down to 244. I agree with the movement on the total coming down. I don't know if I'm, like brave enough to actually take it under. Both of these teams are top 5 in offense over the last 5 games. Utah's been absolutely balling. I expect them to be a public dog in this spot today, a public home dog, and I couldn't talk anybody off from taking Utah. Last 5 games, as this is the last game of a 5-game homestand for them, they have 4 times head-to-head revenge against this team as well. That dates back to last season. They lost already 1 time this season. The Jazz have actually won 12 of their last 14 games. They're the 2nd best offensive team over the last 5 games, 2nd best offensive rebounding team over the last 5 games, and they're the best overall rebounding team over the last 5 games. What does OKC struggle with? Rebounding the basketball. And I think that could come into the play in this game in a really, really big way for OKC. 6 game and nine nights. One of the reasons why I really wanted to fade them in the last game when they were playing against the Clippers, that was a 5th and 7. Now you see them, 6 and 9 as well, back-to-back losses and a bad travel spot for them here. One thing that I looked at from a career perspective was home dogs with the rest advantage, and they're only getting 3 points. So the books are expecting a really close games. If those games are conference games since the 2018 season, those teams are 60 and 55 straight up, 65 and 48 and 2 against the spread. So that's 57%. I think if you like OKC, I think if you like Utah, you definitely take them now. I do expect this number to go down. You can get 3.5 still, and I would put a little sprinkle on the money line as well. Maybe 0.2 units, 0.25 units. You manage your bankroll how you want to, but I do think that OKC. I do think that Utah is in a better spot in this game. Playing consistent home games back to back. OKC continuing to have to travel. Third straight road game for them as well. They will want to get that bad taste out of their mouth because they are coming off back-to-back losses to the Lakers and the Clippers. But I could see Utah continuing to kind of keep this win streak going. As far as the total in this game, one of the reasons why I lean towards the under, when I looked at the creator that I just kind of showed you guys, last 2 seasons, home dogs with the rest advantage and a short point spread, 3 points or less. 3 points or less home dogs in conference games since 2021. Those games go under about 78.1% of the times. I got it at 27-8 to the under short home dogs in conference games when they're more rested. So I do think if you go back to the game that happened earlier this season, OKC was in a really good home advantage rest spot, and Utah was without Lauri Markkanen. Utah has Lauri Markkanen. They don't have anybody on the injury report. Neither team has anybody on the injury report. So for that reason, I would lean towards. I haven't placed the bet yet, but I'm taking the public Utah side in this one, knowing that OKC wants to get right. To me, I think this is a really, really tight game all the way down to the wire, specifically because of the rebounding advantage and Utah being completely healthy. And they're rolling right now. Hard to fade Utah, especially at home. They do have one of the best home records in the NBA, although they are only 2 games above 500, I want to say. So those are my thoughts there. Let's go Grizzlies and Timberwolves. So I didn't really dive too much into this game. I'll have more on it during the 5 o'clock show. But this line did open at 12 in favor of Memphis. It is up. In favor of Minnesota. We see them fight pretty hard last night. They didn't even cover in Detroit. Now they opened at 12. They land 13 points. We know that Memphis has a bevy of injuries in this game. They'll be without everybody pretty much. They do got Luke Kennard. I think Jared Jackson Jr. is probably going to give it a go. Minnesota probably not resting anybody that we know of yet. Yesterday wasn't a non-conference game, but you do see Anthony Edwards come back for that game. So I would assume that he plays here. Minnesota has already beat Memphis like twice already this season. I think this is the 3rd game that these 2 teams have played against each other. I want to say Minnesota covered both spreads as well. You see this total come down from 217 to 214. I think I disagree with the movement there. I think Memphis has been playing a little bit above their head. We saw them, be able to hold home court. Guys like Gigi Jackson Jr., play above his head in that Golden State game. The rumors did come out that, Steph had uninvited him to his camp. So he took that game very, very personal. I think that happened, last year. Took that pretty personal. And I don't think that happens in this game. I'm not sure how much Minnesota is going to care about this game. I know it's a conference game, but I can see them letting up a little bit in this spot. I think if I'm playing the game, I'm looking at the team total to go over for Minnesota, staying away from this big, big number. And I looked into it, right? So one of the things I looked at home favorites since the 2019 season, unrested home favorites that are laying double digits, and they're traveling back. So the last game was on the road. Those games are actually 15-6-1 to the over. 71.4%. I know Minnesota's the best defensive team at home, but something tells me that they'll be able to score in this spot. I do think that, listen to Coach Taylor Jenkins. He also wants his team to play fast. They want to get up and down the floor. They understand that it's going to be super hard to score against this Minnesota offense in the half court. So I would agree with this, with this number coming. I don't agree with the number coming down. I do think that it'll be points in this game. I'm not sure how many Memphis scores, but I do think that, the Timberwolves score whatever the number is. They're playing really, really fast. We even see them struggle a little bit yesterday, and I take that game serious against Detroit. And that game flew over the total yesterday. So I would look more towards the total in this spot more than playing the side. Couldn't talk anybody off. Staying away from the spread in this one. Big number for the Timberwolves to have to cover. And I'm not sure how motivated they are. Can they? Absolutely, they can. But will they be motivated against this Memphis Grizzlies version, this version of the Memphis Grizzlies? I'm not sure. Last game on the board, we got Pacers and Kings. This is another game that I got to do a little bit more deep diving into. We know that the Pacers made the trade, so they will be extremely shorthanded in this spot. They won't have Bruce Brown. You don't have Pascal Siakam. I think he's going to join the team today, but he won't be able to play. The Pacers have actually looked pretty good on this Western Conference road trip. They did run out of gas after covering against Denver on Sunday. They had the back-to-back where they played Utah the next day. Really, really bad travel spot for them, traveling from altitude to altitude, especially when you cover against Denver in that first game. And they absolutely got ran off the floor. They also ruled a couple guys out, but this team has been hot against the spread lately. 7-3 straight up, 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 as well. Looking at Sacramento, this team is not a team you necessarily want to lay points with. You see them struggle, on that road trip in a couple spots. They did beat, a couple of the teams. They end up going down by 18 against Detroit in the first quarter, come back and cover that spread. They beat Charlotte. Never really was a close contest. Get smoked in Philly. Never really was a contest. So this is a Jekyll and Hyde team. And then they go as 4-point divisional dogs and should have won that game against Phoenix, end up losing outright on some free throws by Kevin Durant. So they'll probably be extremely motivated in this spot. Typically not a spot you want to, lay a lot of points with. This is the first game back home for them after a 5-game road trip. And they actually host the Atlanta Hawks. But that game is not until the 22nd, which I want to say is like Saturday or Sunday. For Indiana, first leg of a back-to-back. They actually play in Portland tomorrow. Not too much of a look-ahead spot against the Portland Trail Blazers. And the other thing to take into consideration is the revenge angles, if you're into that type of thing. We know that Sabonis was on this Indiana Pacers team before he was traded. And he might have something to say about that. This is the first matchup of the season. I'm not really sure what to do with this game. I think I do kind of lean towards the under just a tad bit, especially with the Kings. It could be a flat spot for them coming back home. The Pacers have been playing a little bit more defense, especially without Halliburton, playing a little bit slower as well. And this total actually opened at, what did this total open at? It opened at 243.5, and it's up to 246. I don't think I necessarily agree with that movement. The spread did come down from 8.5 down to 7.5. And I don't feel comfortable. I feel comfortable more so taking points with the Kings versus laying them with the Kings. The Kings have not been the greatest team covering the spread when they're actually laying points as a home favorite this season. Real quick, let's just look at that. The Kings as home favorites this season. Sacramento Kings are 8-10. So they have not been profitable, only 44%. But when you catch them as a road dog like they were in the last spot, 7-2 against the spread. So this is a spot where I don't feel comfortable laying the 8. I think it's a tad bit too many points, but Indiana could potentially take this game serious and then maybe, not cover tomorrow against the Portland Trail Blazers. Pretty sure they'd be laying points in that spot. So those are my initial thoughts for the card for today, man. I got to get out of here. 19 minutes. Went through all the games, gave you guys my top looks on each game. If I'm playing the Bulls and the Raptors, I'm taking the total over the 227.5. If I'm taking the Wizards and the Knicks, I'm definitely taking the Wizards. I already placed this, but I'm taking the Wizards team total under to stay away from that spread. Thunder and Jazz, give me the home dog plus 3.5. Give me the total to go under 244.5 as well. Probably be a smaller play if I do end up getting there. Grizzlies and the Timberwolves, give me the over 214 in that spot. And Pacers and Kings, I'll probably be taking the points with the Kings. I'll probably be taking the points with the Pacers as the ugly dog in the spot. Even though they are shorthanded, I think it could be next man up mentality. And I do think that they lost a couple pieces. They lost. So you got Obi Toppin listed as questionable, Ben Mathurin listed as questionable, Neesmith also listed as questionable. And they're going to need those guys. They're definitely going to need those guys. But I do expect, one or two of those guys to play it and to be able to keep this game competitive and not get blown out in this spot. So best of luck to you guys today on whatever action it is that you do have. If you joined the show late, definitely do me a favor, hit the like button for me if you can. I just kind of gave you guys my top looks and my early initial thoughts on the card for today. Only bet that I play so far is that team total under for the Washington Wizards. I didn't get a chance to go through the comment section today, but I'll go back and read all those. Appreciate everybody. As always, smash that like button for me, especially if you guys enjoy the early morning shows. I got a week coming up in February where I'm going to have to do morning shows. I'm not going to be able to do the evening shows just because I got some stuff going on in the evening for the whole entire week. So I'm just wanting to try it out, give it a test run, man. Best of luck to everybody on your action today. Let's get some cash. I'll be back at 5 p.m. Hit the like button for me as well. I'm out.